Hi, I'm going to be redoing my adaptation pitch for the pep talk. It's a feature, and here it goes. So the pep talk is a book that I've found a very different connection to recently. It isn't, a book that I initially connected with because it was in my family or because I really like football or any of that. It was something that I'm now rediscovering in young adulthood, and it has a more complicated and deep meaning to me now. And it's fueled a lot more by doubt and questioning than it is by faith, which I think has become really interesting to me. The Pep Talk as a novel is a quick but impactful read. It uncovers a coach in two different stages of life and three players in two different stages of life. One, when the players are in high school and the coach is coaching them, and then there's a time jump and the players are adults and the coach is in the last couple of years of his life. When the players are in high school and the coach is coaching them, they're having a bad season, they're 0 10, and they're visited by a mysterious traveler who gives them a life changing pep talk. And afterwards, the team goes on to beat the best team in the conference and gain local fame for pulling off such an upset. 30 years later, the coach finds coincidences between the players' stats in the game and newspaper articles and the scriptures that the traveler had told them during the pep talk. And the ex players begin to investigate and rediscover Christian faith as they look for answers. The book to me posed a question on whether or not coincidences are real and whether or not grand design is a real thing. Is it happenstance that I'm telling you about this book, or is anything that happens in your life happenstance, or is it planned out, or is it something that is set up for you to do? Um, of course, we take agency and we make decisions, but we also take on consequences, and things spiral into directions that sometimes you kind of think, who could have really planned this? Um, it's incredible to me that I'm reading the book years later and it has such a profound take on this concept. I grew up in a church based family who would go every Sunday, but in recent times I've become more filled with doubt, and the themes of this book are even more pressing to me more now than ever. It's a very existential thing, and it's something that I can't really let go. And that's why I feel so close to Jack Morris, the main character right now. He's the results focused coach of the winless high school football team, the Lincoln Lions, who's notified that he'll be fired after the team's final game. But when he's visited by a mysterious traveler, he discovers the true purpose was to make a difference in his players' lives. It's a PG-13 faith-based movie with motivating and hopeful themes and a slightly comedic tone. I'm hoping to tap into the human elements of the book to expand on its themes using faith. I know that sounds vague, but what it means is each football player's flaw will have an impactful effect on their personal lives. For Coach Morris, his flaw will link back to a general detachment from life that he's developed over his unsuccessful seasons. His faith will be something that brings him back to humanity and something that makes him want to reconnect with people again in a very genuinely and emotional way. Johnny is Jack Morris's quarterback. He's a very proud figure who can't really see anyone being as talented as he is. Even the team's winless record hasn't brought down his ego, and his flaw is that he's very arrogant. Josh has the opposite problem. He's the self-defeating kicker of the team. He's physically smaller than everyone else. He's primarily a soccer player, so no one on the team seems to take him seriously or take them under his wing. He's become rejected from the team, and his flaw is that he's anxious. Mark is the last player that Coach Moore struggles with. He's the defensive captain, and he's very angry and volatile. And he can get violent very quickly, and his flaw is that he's very angry. The story is set 4 days in the rustic town of Lincoln, Ohio, where time feels like it's moving very slowly and very quickly. It's because the town's quickly being left behind, but also if you were to spend any time there, it would feel like a lifetime. A couple months ago, the last factory closed down and took a bunch of jobs down with it. It's left the town in turmoil, and the locals are restless. For years, football has been the saving grace of this community, but the winless seasons in recent times have left them angry and they're looking for someone to blame, and that's become Coach Jack Morris. Um, he's feeling the pressure, and so he avoids the town people. He goes to diners very early in the morning for breakfast so he doesn't have to talk to them or be yelled at by them or anything. Um, and So that's where we meet him. He goes to a diner earlier in the morning, and he's visited by a man named Christopher, who is very mysterious. He's hard to kind of pin down, but he has an odd request. He wants to give the team a pep talk. Jack is bitter and worn down, and so he turns him away. And after this, we're going to take some time to introduce the player characters. We'll see Johnny, who we'll see his arrogance in the way that he interacts with his classmates. We'll see Mark, and we'll see his anger through him lifting alone in the basement of the school. And we'll see Josh's anxiousness through him meticulously organizing his locker in the morning. But that's when Jack comes in for the inciting incident of the movie. He gets told that after the last game of the season, he's going to be fired, which is a big blow to Jack. This is a dream job for him. He's really wanted to be close to football all his life because he doesn't know much else. And also, his son is in eighth grade, and he wanted to coach his son to be the player that he never could be. And now that's been taken away from him. So he grapples with that by trying to get it back, trying to reverse the decision, but it's final and there is no decision. And so at the end of Act 1, Jack receives news that the pastor that usually does the talk to the team is unable to make it. And so with nothing else to do, he calls Christopher so that he can come give his pep talk. Before the pep talk is the Wednesday practice, which is an absolute disaster. The team was lethargic and they're just going through the motions, and they look dead and defeated already. But when they pile into the locker room for this pep talk, it's it's a really transformative experience for them. They're encouraged for the first time in a while. Even Coach Morris has given up and hasn't really encouraged the team the way he should. And just hearing that really makes them believe in themselves more, and they learn to just control the things they can control, to focus on one play at a time, and the team gets a morale boost from this. After this, Christopher talks one-on-one with the three characters I mentioned from Act 1, Johnny, Mark, and Josh, who suffer from the three flaws, the three A's in this movie: anxiety, anger, and arrogance. And first he talks with Johnny, who's arrogant, like I said, and he tells him a scripture: because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have seen and... Sorry. Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. There it is. And that's something that Johnny has trouble with because he can't trust his team. But he is going to grapple with this concept for the rest of the movie. When he talks to Josh, Josh is so scared to kick the ball because he doesn't want to miss. He suffers from being so anxious and so scared that he doesn't even want to try anymore. And he tells Josh, "Have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous? Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." And this is something that will help Josh have confidence going into the game. Last is Mark, and Mark is incredibly angry, and it's because he feels very detached from his team, and he wants so much to change in his life but doesn't know how to change it. And he tells him, "Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours." And so going into the game, the players begin to think about their lives and their mentalities differently. And also going into the game, we get to the midpoint where Jack finds out that if he wins the game, there's a possibility that he could keep his job. And so we go into the game, and the rest of Act 2 is very gritty and very violent sequence. That's we want to capture the roughness of the game, and throughout the events, Johnny will have to fight his arrogance, Mark will have to calm his rage, and Josh will face his self-doubt. Mark is taunted by cocky players constantly, and so when he gets the chance, he gives a late hit, but in response, they fight back against Mark, and he he gets beat more than he gives beating in that situation. So um, kind of being humbled in that way teaches him to be, a sportsman and to let go of his rage. Johnny throughout the game tries to be a hero. He tries to elevate himself above his position and be the one who wins them the game. But in the end of the game, it's Johnny blocking and being a distraction and being a team player that eventually gets them over the finish line. And Josh is the character that scores all the points for them. They don't score any touchdowns, but Josh scores 3 field goals throughout the game, and he goes up and down in confidence throughout, but relying on his team and having faith in himself really gets him through. However, after winning this game, the team's personal problems are still there. I wanted to capture this feeling of, we accomplished what we thought our goal was, but the personal problems like Johnny's arrogance pushing away the love of his life, and Mark's anger causing his parents to not have faith in him. Those things are still there. Just because they won a football game doesn't, bring the town back from financial ruin or, cultural detachment. That everyone is still upset with the course that the town is on. And this is when Coach Morris discovers the coincidences from the book, the correlation between the scriptures and the statistics in the players' games, and how these scriptures were exactly what the players need to hear, and also in the newspaper headlines, and also their statistics from the game. And from there, the players begin to question whether Christopher was really a person or some kind of traveler, some kind of like faith angel traveler person. And they can't find him anywhere. It's almost like this person doesn't exist. He's not on the internet, or is like his phone doesn't work anymore. They just can't find him. And so at this point it's left in the players' hands to decide who they think Christopher was, and whether or not they want to connect with his teachings in a biblical way, or if they want to connect with his teachings in a way that doesn't involve faith or religion. And that's different for every character, because I think it's different for every person. And that's kind of a unique take on the book that I have, but also something that I think is much more genuine and true than the players all, realizing this coincidence and then all, becoming extremely religious, because that just doesn't feel very human. But the themes of the movie, which are really about people over results, and confidence and coincidence and faith, are all still very strong and all very relevant in my take on the story, I feel. I think that change can be hard for some people. I think for every person, change is difficult in some way. And some people feel that they've learned all their lessons like Jack, and some feel like they don't have anything to learn like Johnny. But it's encouraging to see people change. And I think seeing that and then finding those flaws in ourselves and buying into these journeys is what makes us more like Jack, and the way he transforms from being very results focused at the beginning, and then at the end being able to connect with his son outside of football, and seeing him in a more human way. And so that's the pep talk. And yeah, the pitch is over.